Well, folks, we made it to season 7. Welcome to the Vulnerability Time podcast. I am your host, Josias Abriel, and published author. Speaking of published author, before the episode starts, make sure to go check out my books. They're available on Amazon, and the link is in the episode description below. Go ahead, get you some healing. One's a poetry book about overcoming pain and trauma and stuff like that, and then the other one's a self-awareness interactive journal notebook. So get you some healing. You're worth it. Another thing that you're worth all the love in the world. You're worth all the healing in the world, and I'm glad that you're here with us today to heal together. You are loved, you are valuable. This is your sign. Alrighty, enjoy the episode. Bye, folks. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Vulnerability Time. I am your host and published author, Josias Abriel. With us today, we have Angelo. Angelo, hello. Oh,
Hi, great to be here.
great to have you, Angelo. Before we get into our topics, which, folks, today we'll be discussing relationships, self-love, and acceptance. With Angelo. But before we get into that, Angelo, tell us a little bit about you. Any credentials or anything? Yeah, let us know.
Well, I've got credentials. I'm
Yeah.
an overeducated idiot. I got a bachelor's degree in psychology from Case Western Reserve University. I've got a PhD from the University of Georgia. I was a college professor for 4 years at Oklahoma City University. I was chairman of the psychology department there for 3 of the 4 years I was there. I worked as a consultant with RHR International, which is the largest international psychological consulting firm in the world. And for the last 43 years, I've had my own consulting practice here in Nashville, Tennessee, the company psychologist, where I work with businesses, helping them hire the right people, develop the talent that they have. And also, I coach leaders and people who want to live the best life they can.
That's awesome. Angelo providing healing to the world. Everyone in Tennessee, because Tennessee, the a lot of people in Tennessee listen to this podcast. I can see on the analytics. So I want y'all to know, everyone in Tennessee, hello, 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 hello.
The
I
great state
recognize
of
you.
Tennessee, by the way.
The great state of Tennessee. That's right, everyone. That's right. That's right. Um, Alrighty. So we're just gonna delve. Well, at first, I do have a question. So, what kind of led you down the psychology route?
Well, that's a great question. When I went to college, I had no intention of being a psychologist. I was going to be a dentist.
Hmm. Oh.
My father was a dentist. My grandfather was a dentist. And that's really the only life I knew.
Hmm.
Um, and when I went to college, I found that the courses that were leading me down the path toward dentistry, like organic chemistry and biology and uh, physics and things like, I really wasn't enjoying those. Even though I like science, I wasn't uh, committed to those courses, let's say. And I took Psych 101 as an elective
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it. So I figured I'd take Psych 102. And by the time I got to Psych 201, I said, well, hell, I'll just minor in psychology. And uh, then I fell in love with it and decided to major in psychology and changed the trajectory of my academic life, at least. And it was the best decision I could have made, even though I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Wow. That's pretty cool. Best decision you ever made, even though you didn't know it at the time.
Right.
Uh, I don't know why, but I needed to hear that. And I'll find out why in the future why I needed to hear that, but I feel like I was meant to receive that. Um, hmm. Anyone else in the same boat? Anyone else needed to hear that and it just hit them and they don't know why? I'm there with you. Um, Usually that happens in my life. I hear something and it hits differently. And then like a month later, turns out I needed to hear it. And so that's for a reason. Very
Well, you're lucky if it only takes a month for it to hit you. Sometimes it takes
an
years.
example. An example. But actually, okay, but between me and you, most times And it's happened enough that I've noticed, like, usually most times it's like a week or two for me at least.
Cool.
Not all the time, but most times I would say like 99, 98, 99, 98% of the time, like a week or two. Turns out I needed to hear it. And then, yeah, okay. Um, Angelo. So we're just gonna jump right into it. Relationships.
Yes.
Why that topic? And what's your story and insight with relationships?
Well, um, relationships are really one of the building blocks of a person's life. One of the things I've said in my book, and I like to say to people often, where you are now in your life is the result of the decisions, choices that you've made, and the quality of your relationships. Because on a day to day basis, the quality of your relationships has a lot to do with whether you feel joy, whether you feel frustration, disappointment, aggravation, contentment, inner peace. Uh, Very few of us go through life alone, unless you're a hermit living in the woods somewhere, or totally off the grid. You're going to be in a number of relationships, and if you're in good relationships, that feeds your joy, and if you're in bad relationships, that drains the joy right out of you. So I think relationships are critically important.
Yeah. So you mentioned the um importance of, the types of relationships. For example, like good relationships can, bring out these good things. And
Right.
then the unhealthy ones can bring out unhealthy things.
Oh yeah.
Um I heard this saying, and I don't disagree with it, but I don't fully agree with it. But the saying, correct me if I'm wrong, but it says that you become who you're around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You basically become who you associate with.
Hmm.
Yes. And if you're, or if the old saying is, you lay down with dogs, you get fleas,
Okay, please. Yeah. Hmm.
right? I mean, that's a very old expression, but it's still true. So if you're hanging around people who are toxic, who have no goals, no, and who really have a negative view of life, and they're doing things that are just not only self-destructive but destructive in other ways, then it's very easy for you to fall into that trap.
Hmm.
If you I- you know if you hang around five successful people, you'll be the sixth. If you hang around five intelligent people, you'll be the sixth. If you
Hmm.
hang around five idiots, you'll be the sixth.
Hmm.
So who you hang out with has a major impact.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
And I think most of the people who've come out of difficult situations and gone on to achieve success will tell you that they had to change the relationships that they had. They had
Mm.
to cast aside some of those toxic, unhelpful relationships and begin to associate with people who are on the same track that they wanted to be on.
Mm. Right. Right. So what about I know that, and I think that's so beautiful, everything that you said. Um, let's see, there can be some times when, someone doesn't realize they're in a, unhealthy relationships because they've never been shown the other side,
Right.
which is healthy. Yeah, so for those that are like that or have been like that or have experienced that, is there any insights that you have to help someone, to see, clear if they've never been shown the healthy
Well,
example.
ask I'm sure that they know people who
Mm,
seem to be happier, more joyful
yeah.
than they are. So you could just ask them,
Mm,
tell me about your marriage, or tell me about the friendship you have with this person. What's that like?
yeah.
Just tell me what it's like. Why are you in that relationship with that person? What's good about
Mm,
it? if somebody comes up to me and says, "Why are you married to Rachel?" I can come up with 10,000 reasons why
Oh,
I'm married to Rachel. I just love
yeah,
the hell out of her, right?
yeah,
Um, but if you're not in a good place, it helps to get a sense from other people of what a good relationship feels like and
yeah.
looks like.
Mm. Wow. That's amazing. Okay, so I've never thought about it, cuz usually I hear like okay, here are signs. Um but it's refreshing to hear another, way to find that out is by simply, just asking people, simply just, communicating. Um like hey, like what like you said, like what's the why behind this? And maybe that can help, like expose others um to, that there's another reality. I
And
know
it
for
and it
me,
it
yeah, go ahead.
excuse me, it gives
Yeah,
them a chance
yeah,
to reset their standards.
yeah,
I mean, if you don't know anything else, then that becomes the standard, that becomes the bar,
yeah, the normal,
and you don't know
exactly.
how, and you don't raise the bar because you don't know there's anything above that bar.
Hmm.
But if you
Hmm.
see other people where the standard for their relationship is much higher and the quality of the relationships is much higher, then it gives you something to aspire to or to work toward,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I agree. I agree. That reminds me of um so my relationship with my parents. I didn't know that. Now, little backstory. So, I mean, dad was a pastor, it was still it was just a very abusive household, but no one, um thought anything, or because we were the perfect family, like we lived in the mansion and stuff like that, like all these things on the outside were great, but inside the house it was just tons of abuse, and I thought that that was my normal. I thought that
Right.
yeah, and it took me, going to school, as a kid and seeing that how other parents treat their kids.
Right.
And I was like I just it blew my mind. I was never exposed to that. So I thought everyone's parents treated their kids the way I was treated. And then it turns out that's not the case. And then, as I gotten older and, went to therapy and did all the healing and faced traumas, I really got to see, okay, that was not, that was not love. That was not
No.
love. That was not love.
And it's a lot. I was very, very fortunate. I had a great
Mhm.
upbringing. I have no
Oh, good.
no complaints whatsoever,
Yeah.
but I know a lot of people who didn't.
Mhm.
Um, and what when a person gets to the point, you or anybody else, when they realize there's nothing you can do about that now. It's part of the past. It's
Mhm.
it's over with. And your parents, the everybody's parents, I'm a parent myself. You make decisions based on what's going on at the time.
Mhm.
And some parents make good decisions, some parents make awful decisions, but you can overcome that.
Mhm.
First of all, there's nothing you can do about it. And second of all, no matter how bad it was, you need to free yourself from the chains of the past. I mean, one of the things I said in my book is the past can either be your teacher or your jailer,
Mhm.
and you have to make the choice of which one that's going to be.
Mhm.
And if you're letting it be your jailer now, now's the time to escape from jail. And
Mhm.
the only way to do that is just forgive, whether the people are, whether they're still alive or whether they're dead. Just decide to forgive them and move on,
Mhm.
or hold on to it and take it to your grave, which is not the best way to do it.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that last part for sure. Yeah, but yeah, so that's what that reminded me of though. It's like, the that type of exposure, that type of as above, so below type of thing. I bet I guess there's a better way that I can explain that, but I can't think of it right now. But kind of like not knowing one's in a bubble until it pops.
Well,
Type of
I'll give you an example of that for
yeah.
sure. Do you I don't know what economic circumstances you grew up in, but
Mhm,
when people grow up in very meager or not very affluent economic circumstances, but they're in a neighborhood where everybody else is in the same situation,
mhm,
all of the they're all uh, their incomes are not that great, or they're living in not great circumstances, and they move out of that for they'll say, "We didn't know we were poor until until we saw people that weren't poor." So
mhm,
if you have no standard of comparison, if
mhm,
that's all you know,
mhm,
then, until you find out that there's something else, and I think one of the things that social media has done for better or for worse is it has showed people in not great circumstances that there are other circumstances that you could be in. So,
mm.
yeah.
Yeah, gotcha, gotcha. Okay, that's really interesting. Um, what I got from that is kind of like that healthy and which at least for me, this is how I translated it. At least for me, like I know comparison can get very unhealthy, but from what I heard from what you just said, how that translated to me, it gave me some type of grace and some type of peace and comfort, on that the healthy type of comparison.
Yes.
Hmm.
If it's really a good thing if a person has a role model.
Hmm.
And a role model is somebody that they can compare themselves to and
Hmm.
aspire to be,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Hmm.
It could be in your life, it could be a parent, it could be a teacher, it could be a friend, it could be a friend's parent,
Yeah.
it could be a coach, it could be in business, it could be somebody that you work for, or a peer, or it could even be somebody that works in a totally different department. But there are people who can have a positive influence in your life in the sense that you can say, "I want to be like that person," and then again, go ask them, "What did you do to get where you are?" And
Yeah.
I give career advice to people all the time, and when I talk to a young person says, "I wanna own a business someday." And I will say, one of the best ways to do that, I won't say the only way, because there's so many ways to start a business now that didn't exist 50 or 60 years ago, or even
Mhm.
30 years ago, due to technology. But I would say, if you find a business that looks interesting to you, walk into that business and ask to speak to the owner.
Mhm.
And if you can get to the owner, sometimes it's not that easy to get to the owner, but in a lot of small to medium sized businesses, the
Yeah.
owner will love to talk to you. And you go into that owner and say, "I really admire your business.
Mhm.
I would like to learn how to be you someday. And I'm willing to start at the bottom if you're willing to teach me." And you'd be amazed how many business people, because they don't hear that very often, would say, "I'd love to teach you. We're going to start in the warehouse and you're going to sweep floors." And if you say sweeping floors is beneath me, you're out.
Mhm.
If you say, "I'm good, just give me a broom, show me where to go." And I know people who are CEOs of major corporations who started in the warehouse.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's very humbling. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Just gives me a lot to. That's very humbling. Yeah. So appreciate you sharing that. Um. Alrighty. So, folks, our next topic we'll be discussing Let me just get back on here. What's that? Self-love and acceptance.
Yes.
Let's let us do that. So, what's the why behind these topics?
Well, you're the only person that you're spending 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with.
Hmm.
So I think it's vitally important for you to love yourself, appreciate yourself, recognize that you have worth and that you have value, and don't let other people diminish that value. And how you react to the world that determines how you feel about yourself. If you're insulted by something that somebody says to you, that's on you more than it is on them. Okay. Because that person could say the exact same thing to somebody else, and that person's not insulted at all. They might think it's funny. So it- you have to have at the very core a love and appreciation for yourself. And that's not selfishness.
Right.
A lot of people, when you talk about self-love, they think that means you're being selfish. It's not. It means you're taking care of yourself first, because again, you're with yourself 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you can't really take care of anybody else unless you take care of yourself first. And you for sure can't love anybody else unless you love yourself first. And
Mhm.
if you don't love yourself, why would you expect anybody else to love you?
Right. Right.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
And how do you love you? How do you show that you love yourself? One, you take care of your body. That's the vessel that's carrying you around 24/7.
Mm.
So, and some of us have health issues. I recognize that. Some of us have it easier than others from a health standpoint, but there are things that everybody can do to take a little bit better care
Mhm.
of that vessel.
Mhm.
You know, you can eat a little better. You could make sure you're getting your sleep. You could be a little, don't get involved so much in destructive, like drugs, alcohol, gambling, a lot of those things that can take you down a path that doesn't usually end well.
Mhm.
Those are some things you can do. Everybody can get a little bit more exercise than
Mhm.
they're getting. And I don't mean you have to run a marathon or climb, Mount Everest. I'm just saying take a walk for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
How hard is that? And I to the people who have difficulty walking, I apologize. I understand what you're going through, and I don't mean to offend you, but anybody can do a little bit more than what they're doing now.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Some people, if you have trouble walking, you can do chair aerobics. You can just sit in a chair and do stretching exercises and lifting your feet up and things like that. There's things you can do to get more exercise. And the better shape you are physically, the better you're able to do all the other things like build relationships and, all the things we've talked about up to now. Uh, so that's really what self love means. And
Yes.
self acceptance means accept yourself for who you are.
Mhm.
Don't be in a constant state of, I need to change this, I need to change that, I need to do this better. Because it's the bar keeps moving, right? The standard keeps moving. And when you accomplish a goal, what happens? You set another goal. Then you try to accomplish that goal, and then you set another goal. Nothing wrong with goal setting, but I'm just saying it. You need to accept the version of yourself that you are right now.
Yeah.
And if you accept that version of yourself, it's easier for you to make incremental improvements,
Mhm.
right? Get a little bit better at this every day. If you get a little bit better at 1% better at something every day, you're going to kill it in life.
Yeah. Yes. You know what? Uh, this has just been very, very inspiring. Angelo, something that I loved, well, I loved many things that you mentioned, but there's something that I really that really stood out to me because I was actually just talking about this yesterday while I was on the beach.
Oh, good for you. I wish I was on the beach yesterday.
So that word selfish, I
Yeah,
think this is how I view it, how I learned to view it, is that it's more subjective. It's that like I was always taught selfish in a negative way.
right.
However, what about when it's necessary? Like you were
Selfish
saying.
is yes, you're right. Selfish has gotten a bad rap.
Yeah.
Selfish is taking care of yourself first.
Right.
When somebody calls you selfish, it usually means that you have something that they want and you're not giving it to them. So
Mm,
you're being selfish.
mm.
So a better question would be why don't they go get it for themselves instead of expecting you to give it to them? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
If you're
It's a good
taking
point.
care of yourself
Great point.
first, it's not selfish. You get on the old story. If you, when you get on an airplane and the flight attendant makes the announcement in the event that cabin pressure decreases, oxygen masks are going to come out from the ceiling. And if you're
Yes, yes.
traveling with a small child, you put your mask on first and then you put their mask on.
Yeah.
So you take care of yourself first because you can't take care of anybody else, right? Unless
Right,
you take care of yourself first.
right.
So being selfish, there is very much a positive side to being selfish.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so I just learned, been learning the subjectivity of a lot of things. You know, yeah, so that's I love that you had mentioned that and how you had mentioned that. I think that that was really amazing. Very eye-opening, for especially for those of us who are, just taught that, being selfish is just a bad thing. And that's, you know, thinking like being taught that, I'm not saying like the people that taught me that, because it wasn't just one person, it wasn't just two people, it was just kind of
Right.
like a thing. Um, it's allowed, people to take advantage
Sure.
and walk all over. Yeah, like, and of course, for the people that didn't do that, you know, great. But, of course there are people that are going to do that, whether they know they're doing it or not, you know, yeah, it got very unhealthy. So I had to learn, I don't want to say the hard way. I would say I had to learn through a more, uh, darker path. Um, and I don't mean that necessarily in a bad way, folks. I mean it more so as like I do think that, at least for me in my life, I think that I've seen that there's been multiple paths to love and light, and one of those ways was through darkness. Through darkness moments. So I went through the dark path. Yes, I had to learn through the dark path. Do I want anyone to learn that way? No, not at all. Is it necessary? Depending on the person, I guess so. Because I know for me, at least sometimes, sometimes I have to learn it on my own.
Well,
You know?
there's Will Rogers, who was a great comedian and philosopher in the 1930s, said some people learn from books, some people learn from the experiences of others, and some people have to pee on the electric fence themselves. And
I love that.
right? Well, that's not me. That's Will Rogers. but that's true. Experience is a great teacher. The problem with experience is it gives the lesson first,
Mm,
the test first, and the lesson afterwards.
mm.
Right? So you can't study to get experience. Right? It's got to kind of hit you.
Point. That's a good point. That's a good point. I like the way you said that. That's a really great point. Wow. Hmm. Yes. Well, I also would like to um throw out there, um if you could tell us a little bit more about your book just
Oh, sure.
because, yes, folks, just because I admit, folks, I'm the type of person, I know not everyone reads episode descriptions. I'm that type of person. So I'm the type of person where I will listen, but I won't read the episode description. So it's going to be Angelo's, um, any links that Angelo sends me will be in the episode description below so that y'all can go check him out and support. Please support. We love to support here. Um, yes, if you could
My
tell us a
book.
little bit. Yes.
Title of my book, which I will, if you'll allow me, I will show you. It's right here. I keep a copy
I'm
handy at all
making this
times. It's called
you're making this
You're
way too
Making
hard.
This Way Too Hard. Find your easy way to enjoy life. It's available on Amazon. It's available on my website. You can get the Audible version. I went in the studio and did an Audible version of it. Um, so I'd love for you to read it or listen to it as you prefer. And it's basically a roadmap or a journey into finding joy, inner peace, and self acceptance. And I
Mhm.
talk about relationships, I talk about decision making, I talk about your relationship with money because people have a very weird and distorted relationship with money these days. I talk about taking control of your life, and there's a chapter that'll hit just about everybody in dealing with something that they're dealing with right now.
Mm,
It'll resonate with them more
yeah.
than others. But and I should also add that I've just built a course. It's live now. It's called Enjoy Life the Easy Way. It's based on my book, and the book is really a why to, and the course is a how to.
Mm.
Okay, it's 8 modules and talking about many of the things I've just talked about. As I mentioned, it's live on my website right now, angelovalenti.com. I'd love for you to check it out there. And it's very practical. It's not something that you're going to dread doing. All of the lessons are interactive and they'll touch you on a personal level because I'll be asking you to think about things in maybe a way that you haven't thought about them before.
Wonderful. Okay. Send me folks, it'll be in the episode description below. Um I guess I'll just tell you now, Angela. So I really enjoyed this episode. I'm gonna have this episode available tonight, Angelo.
Oh, cool.
So go ahead and send me the any links. Um yeah. I'm gonna have this episode available tonight, Angelo.
I
I
think
enjoyed this.
the main link, I'm just going to send you to my website,
I
which is
got you. That yeah, okay.
www.angelovalenti.com. Everything, if they click around on that, they're going to find everything.
Okay. Perfect. Click around. Yes. Okay, gotcha, gotcha. Okay. Let me just put that down. So I don't know if I'll be able to send this through email. I think the
That's
file
a
too big. So
that's okay.
I can send it through
Google
Google
Drive's
Drive.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that way you can just download it to okay. Um, I'll release the episode tonight and I'll have it sent to you either tonight or tomorrow morning.
Okay, cool. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. Let me just write that down. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much, Angelo, for coming on and sharing with us and, offering your insights and just your conversation. This podcast, it's all about just, bringing healing, knowledge, understanding, love, light, grace to not just oneself, but to the world as well through ourselves. So, thank you so much, Angela, for being part of this. I mean, you're already healing people anyways, but thank you for being a part of this platform, and just another, way for you to help heal people, and heal the
Well,
world and love the
Josiah,
world.
you're doing good work. Keep it up, please.
Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate that. Alrighty, folks. I'd like to leave with a little challenge, folks. So, I know some of us struggle with social anxiety. I get it. So I won't put too big of a challenge, but folks, I challenge you to text one person, one or two people, that they are important. Do that. Text somebody, one or two people, and let them know that they are important. Alrighty. Done,
Great
folks.
advice.
Alrighty. I'll see y'all next episode for whatever that will be. I am your host and published author, Josias Abriel. Thank you so much, Angelo, for coming on. And folks, we will see you next week.
Thank you.